And I want to get to, because you've written extensively about how capitalism needs to change and some of the things that we should be thinking about and doing. And I want to definitely get to that a little bit later on. But I am curious right now, I mean, just from a practical level, do you think that we're headed into a global depression?
Yes, but I want to be careful about what I use the word, like to be
Right,
technical.
absolutely.
The word is an evocative word, and
Sure.
it can be scary and so on. So what do you mean by a depression? Okay, something like happened in the 1930s. So just to repeat, 1929 to 1932, there was a fall in the economy and a very double-digit unemployment rates and a magnitude of fall in the economy like about 10%. Do I think we're in that? Yes. How was that dealt with? 1933. What they did is they printed a lot of money. And the government came out with the same type of programs that we're having now. Yes, okay, same thing. Zero, interest rates hit zero. Same thing. Okay, same dynamics. And then there is that money causes an expansion from that point. How long does it take for the stock market to exceed its highs? Or how long does it take for the economy to exceed its former highs? A long time. Okay, do I think that's what we're in? Yes, that's what we're in. We've seen that happen repeatedly in history. So many times. It's just the most recent one. And there's a structure to that. So yes, this is not a recession. This is a breakdown, an operation that I'm just describing in terms of how it's dealt with, the production of money and credit, and all of that. That's what we're in.
And so you've talked about there's sort of four levers to recovery after a depression: cutting spending, also known as austerity, debt restructuring or forgiveness, redistribution of wealth through taxes potentially, and printing of money. Some of these things you've mentioned. Will those things get us out of this situation, since, as you feel it's happened before? But how would you think about balancing these tools right now?
Yeah, those are the tools since eternity, basically, since recorded history. Those are the ones that operated. And I think what you're going to see is a combination you're seeing of printing money and redistribution. And I think it'll last. These things happen pretty quickly. They last maybe a couple of 3 years in terms of that process. And then you have a rebuilding, and they're dealt with creativity. The greatest force through time is inventiveness, human inventiveness, adaptability. So you're going to see these restructurings, and you're going to see the kind of inventiveness that you just saw from Marco, okay? And it's the power of that adaptation that is the greatest power. I did a study, which is on LinkedIn if anyone wants to see it. And it goes back 500 years. And it shows real GDP. In other words, the economic activity going back there. And there's a line. And you don't see these depressions, as we're calling them, even on that line. They barely wiggles. When you go into it and you look at that piece, that's what it looks like. GDP falls 10%, unemployment goes up, and it passes. And because the greatest force is the force of adaptation and inventiveness if we can operate well together. So that's what I think it's going to look like over this period of time. It'll pass. The world will be very different. There'll be a new world order. But it will pass and we'll be inventive, because what we're dealing with now is just money and credit. Money and credit is just digital. I mean, there is real goods, services, those are real. But everything else is just accounting. And so when you change the digits and you work those things out and you work yourself through, that takes, a couple of years at most, kind of. And then you come back into a restructured environment. And it could be said that it is really healthy in many ways, because it is a stress test. Because if you look at history, people have gotten, sometimes they get weaker, or they're not prepared to, in many ways. Weaker in terms of maybe they don't build enough savings and they operate that, or maybe they emphasize luxuries over necessities. It's a reorienting type of experience that in many ways makes us healthy, even appreciating the basics of life.